How would you characterize the process so far, just so we
I agree with President-elect Trump. It's going very smoothly here in New York and predominantly down in Washington, D.C., where most of the transition team is. We have, I visited our Washington, D.C. transition offices this week and got a great reception from people who are incredibly engaged and excited to help form the next federal government. I really enjoyed, Bill, looking across the room and seeing everybody from seasoned Reagan hands who worked on President Reagan's transition and indeed in his administration, and then millennials in the same room who were born after President Reagan left office. So it's a very exciting time for us. Obviously a ton of work to do, but we're doing it methodically and very calmly. And the president-elect has slid into this role amazingly well because he's a transactional guy. He's somebody who's used to reviewing information, getting many different inputs, getting the advice of many different counselors, and then making his decision. And
so
you can expect that to be the same here.
Just to characterize it, you're saying it's on track. That's what I hear from your answer.
It is on track. And if you look at, I've been watching Fox News and reading articles, if you look at other administrations, we're right on track, right on time. I mean, this is a country that didn't
we're going
even
to show
know
our viewers that, too. Yeah, I want to get to a lot of the news items of the day, too. These administration officials that will be required to sign a pledge not to be a lobbyist for 5 years if they come on Team Trump. What's the effect of that on government?
The effect on that is, first of all, it's a major campaign promise that Donald Trump made, and he's already delivering on it during transition as the president-elect. He wants to, quote, drain the swamp. That means moving forward, folks who go into government are not going to be able to enrich themselves by virtue of that position. And that's completely in keeping with why many Americans cast their vote for Donald Trump and Mike Pence. Look, I think there's a tremendous talent pool out there, many people willing and feel honored to come and work in the Trump-Pence administration. We're hearing from people all over the country, some that wouldn't surprise you, some that would be very surprising to you perhaps. But I like the fact that at the beginning of his transition, Donald Trump is saying to America, I'm making good on one of the primary promises I made in my general election campaign.
And I could understand
which
that.
Is if you're going to drain the swamp.
Yeah. How are they reacting to such a pledge?
They being the lobbyists?
They being the potential employees under a Trump administration.
They'll need to make their own decisions, Bill, but again, the parameters and, frankly, the conditions are very clear. They'll need to make their own personal decisions as to what they can abide as professionals, but the fact is you can do a lot of good by going on the inside and bringing your expertise there. I mean, the other thing is that this really goes along with the whole government reform package. You know, Americans for decades have been telling each other and telling pollsters, indeed, they want someone from the outside. They want someone who goes to Washington owing nobody anything. And here they got their chance to at least execute on that self-avowed desire, and indeed they did. So basically, Mr. Trump is just meeting the demands and the desires of the American electorate by trying to drain the swamp of folks who, that revolving door. The other thing, Bill and Martha, I would point out to you is nobody got rich off of the Donald Trump campaign. And it's just in keeping with the way he would like to run his government and all of its organs and adjuncts. Why do we need this revolving door of lobbyists and consultants? Why do we need 10 people to say the same thing? We just don't.
Last night, ABC sent out a tweet that Mike Flynn would be National Security Advisor. It has since amended that. Can you say that he is up for that position or not, Kellyanne?
Well, General Flynn would be qualified for any number of positions. He's been a very trusted advisor, a close advisor to candidate Trump and now President-elect Trump. And he certainly is one of the people being considered for that position.
Okay. I watched the lobby. I see the cameras. There's a lot of meetings going on at that building where you are right now. Can you give us a sense of how Mr. Trump runs these meetings? Just take us inside the room so we get a better idea about how this is managed.
The way he has run meetings for decades during his entire career, focused, warm, open to other people's ideas and information, and in command. You know, Donald Trump is someone, when you're in the room with him, you know who is in control of command. I find him to be a fabulous listener, genuinely engaged, looks people in the eye, is very, I think, very open to hearing what they've been working on in some cases for years, if not decades, the policy issues that motivate them, the obstacles and opportunities that they see within their issue set. And I've sat in on a couple of these meetings this week, and I can tell you, in the case of one which has been reported upon, yesterday having a meeting with the Executive Vice President of the Federalist Society, who's been incredibly helpful in talking about the federal judiciary openings, including the United States Supreme Court vacancy. You've got a President-elect Trump yesterday in that meeting discussing through the 21 people who are on his original list and talking about the Supreme Court and the timing, et cetera. That's a very typical example of how he's running these meetings.
Hey, Kellyanne, it's Martha. Good morning to you.
Hi.
My questions are sort of a logistical bent. You know, you look at what's happening at Trump Tower, and it's unprecedented to have a president-elect living in a building that has commercial space downstairs, residential space in the middle, you know, concrete barriers that go around the outside. And I'm just curious what Mr. Trump's feelings are about how long he can make that work.
It is unprecedented, but everything about Donald Trump and his ascent to the presidency, Martha, is unprecedented. So it's working fine. I mean, frankly, we come in and out. The media are there. I see them early in the morning. I see them late at night. Other people who want to access some of the retail stores are able to do that. Obviously, you want the proper security around Secret Service and the NYPD around the next president of the United States. I don't think anybody can argue with that. And when 20,000 protesters wanted to come and scream, "Not my president," and they're not accepting election results, ironically, they were allowed to do that within steps, within the shadow of the Trump Tower. It was difficult for us to get around that day, but they were welcome to do that. So things seem to be functioning very well. And I think having him in one place to do these meetings and do extra sessions is really the way to go right now.
I mean, it's clear he feels comfortable there. That's home. His family is there. The offices are there. But I think a lot of people have questions about what his plan is. Is he going to move full-time to the White House, or will we be sort of watching him commute back and forth on a daily basis?
Well, he'll do whatever is necessary. Obviously, if his day job is in Washington, you will see him there. And nobody wants to create a tenuous logistical headache long-term for the public or for the service, obviously. But he loved his trip to Washington, D.C. last week. He is still talking about his meeting with President Obama, the meetings with Vice President Biden, obviously Leader McConnell, Speaker Ryan. And that's where the day job is. That's where he will be most focused. Obviously, it's a very unique situation with somebody who's been incredibly successful in an entirely non-political industry in a city away from Washington, D.C. But he knows what the job entails. He's going to have the support of his family, as he always has. It's just a very exciting time, Martha.
Kellyanne, will we get announcements today? Will it happen today?
Well, possibly, but today he's very focused on, it's just a flotilla of meetings, if you will. And it's capped off with a 5 p.m. meeting between Vice President-elect Pence, President-elect Trump, and Prime Minister Abe from Japan. And that is a meeting where they will be discussing probably more informally, since we do have a president and commander-in-chief already in the Oval and on his last foreign trip. So being respectful toward him and the fact that he's still the president, I think that there will not be press access to that particular meeting, but we're very happy that the Prime Minister is coming.